For my personalized learning project, I wanted to create something that students could use throughout the course of the entire school year, not just something that would be relevant for one unit of study. I also really wanted to focus on pacing. I think competency-based progression is really interesting to me, and I find that it's very important for students that once they've mastered a skill, that they are able to move on rather than waiting for the class to be at their current level of mastery. So I decided to create a, a choice board for sight words. Students in first grade need to have mastered a list of 220 sight words. Some of those they have mastered in kindergarten, but by the end of the year they need to know the list of 220. And so I thought that a project I could do that would impact my students' daily learning would be to create a choice board that they could work their way through lists of sight words at their own pace and not waiting for the entire class to master the same words. I also wanted to give students choice on how they could practice. We practice sight words nearly every day during literacy centers. So I thought students could have a variety of options that they could do to practice these words. And you can see right here that I created sight word choice board number 1. Throughout the year, I will also change the choice boards so that students are getting a variety of options throughout the year. So on this choice board, there are some things that are technology focused and some things that are done with materials in the classroom. I wanted to create a list of things that students that would meet different learning styles of students. In my classroom, I have lots of students who receive special education services, and I also have lots of students that receive extended learning program or talented and gifted services. And so their rate of sight word mastery, their rate of progression is very different. And so I wanted to make something that was personalized for students that they would use on a daily basis that would be very specific to their learning. So students access all the materials they need for this through our Google through our Google Classroom. And they can choose which activities they want to participate in to help them practice their sight words. So to begin this, at the beginning of the school year, I would give students a list of sight words and have them record them in Seesaw. So students, when they go to their Seesaw, there's a plus button. They just click on it, and they can record themselves reading a list of sight words. From that, I can see how many words the students have mastered and determine what list to start them on. And the reason why I'm having students record on Seesaw is that it saves valuable instruction time rather than assessing 25 students on a list of words, which can be quite time consuming. At the beginning of the year, they'll just read as many words as they can, and I'll know what list that they need to start on. So then the next day I can provide them with the sight word list that they should start working on. So after they have their assigned list, they have a variety of choices to practice during literacy centers. And after 8 activities, or before, if they feel that they're ready for students who progress faster, they would go into Seesaw and again record them reading their list of sight words that they've been working on. And when they've shown mastery of those, then I would give them a new list of sight words. If they do not show mastery, I'll have them continue working on those. A typical rate of progression for most students is that with 8 days of practice, they should have learned their sight word list and be able to recognize and read those words in print. And so it should be enough time for the average learner to master the list. Students that master things quicker, they can progress faster and record their list and get a new list sooner. And students that need extra time can complete more activities. So some of the activities on here are technology focused for my students that enjoy working with technology. Some of them still just have materials that are used in the classroom, like building with WikiSticks, writing with a Magnadoodle, writing bumpy words. That's a strategy they know for writing with the Canvas. It gives a tactile input for them. And then there are some things using G Suite tools. My students have Chromebooks and they're very familiar with all the Google apps. So typing their lists in a Google Doc, making a Google Slides presentation where they type the words into a presentation, taking a Google Forms quiz, or listening to me read them in a Google Slides presentation, or using Symbaloo. And on here I have blue Symbaloo and green Symbaloo. And the reason why I've done that is I've color-coded the Symbaloo activities. The blue ones are working on recognition and the green ones are working on writing the words. So just a little bit different choice in ways to practice. So for blue Symbaloo activity, the students would come and choose a blue one, green, they would choose a green. And I plan on adding a lot more activities to my Symbaloo page as the year progresses. So they can choose those. They can also take a Google Forms quiz that looks like this. And it might seem kind of silly that I'm asking them to spell words to identify the words that are already spelled correctly. But it helps them with recognition, being able to discriminate the spelling and seeing the unique features of the word. So they can do that for practice. That wouldn't be a way to assess them necessarily because, of course, the answer is there, but something for practice. Students can also listen to me as I read the words in a Google Slide presentation, and it looks like this.
Listen to Mrs. G, sight word list number 6. Don't forget to repeat Mrs. G in a silly whisper voice. Because. B-E-C-A-U-S-E. Because. Ben.
So that just gives you an idea of what that activity would look like. And as the year goes on, I plan on adding more ideas to my choice board. And so once students feel that they know all of their sight words, they go back into Seesaw, make a new recording. I would listen to it and determine if they have mastered the sight word or not, and the list or not, and then from there make a decision. I also think that this will also give me some valuable data. Students that are not progressing at a typical rate of approximately a sight list every 8 days that might indicate that they would be needing an intervention in sight words, and so that would also give me some valuable information. I'm excited to try this out with my students, and then I intend to implement it at the start of the school year next year, so students are familiar with this and understand how to complete each activity and how to record the information and make the new Seesaw recordings. However, I don't anticipate my students having any trouble with this. They've used all of these tools before, and so I think that it will be something easy for students to manage, but will also help them get to work on the specific skills they need and also have some choice for what they are allowed to do. I'm looking forward to using this with my first graders.